Hey guys, my name is Noah Flater. I did the motion capture for 8 of the characters in MK1. Let's talk about Kenshi. The main martial arts that I really had to focus on with Kenshi is he's very focused on Japanese style sword work. I have been traditionally trained in Japanese sword while I was in Japan. I was very young, I was 17 years old and I stayed for a few months, but it's been a while since I've trained strict Japanese style because so much of my weapons training has been very Kali Silat and kind of Chinese inspired sword work. And the big difference between Chinese and Japanese styles is that Chinese has this style flow when they do things. And they're very sharp in the way that they whip the hits and they have this reverb off of their body. Where the Japanese are a little bit slower, less flow, but it's very straight hit, straight hit, straight hit, straight, and bring it back. Those were the big adjustments that I had to make in my training to help prep for Kenshi. I actually remember in the first conference call that I had with MK, technically it was an audition, but I didn't even know that at the time. Maybe 10 or 20 people on the call. It was a lot of people watching me. Half of the people on the call actually were already fans of mine. They're like, hey Noah, big fan of yours. Can we show them these type of movements? And I was like, oh, okay. One of the animators was like, oh, can we see what a roundhouse kick looks like when you do it? And I was like, yeah, sure, I can do a roundhouse kick. Somebody else jumped in. I think it was actually John Martinez, but I could be wrong, but I think it was Martinez. And he's like, hey Noah, sorry, I'm gonna stop you guys right there. Noah, I'm a huge fan, I've been following you for a while. Can you actually show them what your round tornado spin kicks look like? Who is this guy? I was like, yeah, totally, I could do that. Did that combo and everybody was like blown away. And he's like, can you show them one of your B-twists or any of your tricking moves? And I was like, the fact he knows what a B-twist is awesome. And then they asked me to pick up a weapon. They're like, oh, can you show us some of your sword work? And I was like, yeah, no problem. Picked up a sword, started showing them the way that I would use the sword. Little did I know from the very first call what that sword work would turn into. Pretty cool. One of the most iconic memories that I honestly have was my face scanning time when I got to face scan for this character. Now, mind you, I actually wasn't called in to face scan for Kenshi. After we had done all of the motion capture action for the game, I was pretty much done. I got one more phone call and they're like, hey Noah, we actually want you to come in and it's for a face scanning opportunity. At that time, I didn't really know what any of that meant. I was just like, okay, cool, sounds good. Oh, what am I doing this for? Like what character? They're like, we're not gonna say, we want it to be a surprise in person. We'll tell you when you get here. And I was like, that is so weird, okay. Get on a plane, fly out to Chicago. And I walk in the studio, the guy himself, Ed Boon, was there. And I was like, oh wow, you're actually here. And the reason that I say that is because we were in COVID the whole time. Everybody was on a Zoom call, so Ed wasn't even allowed in studio. So I did all of MK1 without actually shaking hands with him until the face scanning moment. It was a pleasure working with you, Noah. Like, you're truly incredible. I'm glad that we have you. He was like, you're actually doing the face scan for Sub-Zero. And I was like, what? I was like, I freaking love Sub-Zero, that's awesome. Yeah, we plan on using your likeness for Sub-Zero. You'll be the face model for him, congratulations. And as well, we're planning on making Scorpion and Sub-Zero brothers in this game. So I'll probably take your likeness and put it on Scorpion as well. And I was like, dude, that is so cool. So he put me inside the face scanning cage. I actually have pictures of me in it. I had to put a bald cap on so they get all of my face perfectly in it. It took about 30 minutes, an hour, not super long. It was really a half day of work. It's very simple. I just hung out with Ed Boon in a cage and we just got to hang out and talk. We talked about Mortal Kombat. Biggest takeaway that he gave me at the time was how much my life is gonna change. And I was like, great, I'm excited. I take everything kind of with a grain of salt. I'm just happy to be there. But they did make it very apparent to me saying, aside from the original video games, before we really did motion capture, you're the first motion capture artist to be face scanned. It was a huge deal for them. They had said that Carlos Mencina was looking to retire. They wanted to write a new story to help a new generation of people come to fall in love with what the brand really meant, restart everything. And that's why they had Liu Kang become a time god to go back in time, do the original origin story of all of our favorite and beloved characters, but they wanted a new face for the franchise and a new look and a new feel in the way all the characters move. They had scouted me years and years ago just on social media, and they picked me. It's a huge honor, not just to do 8 of the main characters, but also to be face scan and be really a big part of what MK means. When the first trailer came out and Sub-Zero had his mask on, I was like, I don't know if that's me. We were all kind of looking at it and we weren't really sure. Then we saw Kenshi and I was like, oh my God, that's me. I hit up one of the animators and I was like, dude, what happened? I'm like, I'm happy that I'm anybody, but I was like, I thought I was supposed to be Sub-Zero. He's like, dude, the whole game, he's wearing a mask and they didn't want your face to be covered by a mask the whole game. So they went with Kenshi instead. And I was like, that is freaking awesome. And I know that the animators wanted me to be dripped up. So they definitely made sure that he wore his suit in homage to all of the stuff that I've done with those films, which is so funny. At least that's what one of the animators told me. So it was pretty cool. One of my big takeaway experiences was a little bit of improv acting and method acting in the studio room. When I did Kenshi, my movements were very precise. I actually grew up with a series called Zatoichi. It's an old school Japanese series that has to do with the blind swordsman Zatoichi. We were doing all the movements and I think my cuts were traditionally correct, but I was so focused on just the movement that I was neglecting a little bit of the character being blind. So I was like, man, what do I need to do to make my character really come to life? Carlos was like, why don't you just try and blindfold? Like actually blindfolded me in the studio. And it worked. It looked so good. And it was crazy how much my movements changed right away. When I lost my eyes being blindfolded, I had to hyper focus on the rest of my body. And even like that slight head tilt away brings so much personality into the character. Don't be afraid to try something different, even if it's not technically sound, because you don't know what could really blossom out of it. So it was a really fun experience. And I know a lot of people are gonna ask me if I did Sento. I did not. I think they brought in a different performer to do his movements, but it just turned out so freaking cool as is. So thank you guys for supporting me. I deeply appreciate it. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Os.